Hello and welcome. So today's video is going to be all about the village of Pluckley, which is famous for being the most haunted village in Britain. The village of Pluckley lies in the Ashford district of Kent, England. The village was the setting for the recent series of The Darling Buds of May. The prominent family in the village was the Deering family. They were lords of the manor from the 15th century to World War I. It is mentioned in the Domesday Book of 1086 and in 1989 was listed in the Guinness Book of World Records as being the most haunted village in Britain. But how many ghosts linger in Pluckley? It is reported that there are at least 12 to 16 ghosts that make the village their home. In the 18th century, a highwayman was chased across the fields by the forces of law and order. He ran up to an oak tree, which is no longer there, where he made his last stand. The highwayman was overpowered and run through with several swords. In the early hours of winter evenings, you can witness the highwayman's final battle, though others have seen his lifeless body pinned against an invisible tree. Maltman's Hill is haunted by a phantom coach and horses. It is not just the sound of the horse's hoof that you hear, you can see the coach too. One witness described seeing the coach as if it was real, with light coming from its window. Another witness almost crashed their car when they heard what sounded like hoofs on a cobbled road. By the brook, an old gypsy lady would gather watercress to sell to the villagers. At the end of each day, she would sit on the walls of the bridge that crossed the brook and smoke her clay pipe. One evening, the gypsy lady fell asleep while smoking her pipe. The pipe fell on her clothes, causing her to go up in flames. Her charred body was found the next day, but her spirit still lingers in the spot she met her death, manifesting as a screaming figure surrounded by flames. But slowly over the years, the old gypsy lady's ghost has faded to nothing more than a faint pink glow. Richard Dicky Buss was the local miller. He closed the mill in the 1930s, but 9 years later the mill was destroyed by lightning. Dicky's spirit is said to now haunt the mill, appearing just before a thunderstorm. In the 1920s, a group of children on their way to school found their teacher hanging from a tree in Dick Buss's lane. On certain night, his body can be seen hanging from the tree where he took his last breath. In Parkwood resides the spirit of a colonel. He hanged himself in the woods and is now seen wandering amongst the trees. A man met a horrible death at the brickworks when he was crushed to death by a wall of clay. You can still hear the man's screams coming from the site of the brickwork. Rose Court was said to have been built by a member of the Deering family as a home for his mistress. It is said that the mistress fell in love with the monk at Greystones and, distraught that they could not be together, she drank a fatal drink of the juices of ivory and other poisonous berries. Her body was found looking across the field to Greystones. There have been some strange happenings at Rose Court. Items are said to be moved around at night. Groans and sighs can be heard in the early hours, and there is an eerie atmosphere that hangs over the garden. The White Lady was a member of the Deering family and haunts both St Nicholas's Church and the library at the old manor house, Surrenden Deering. The house was destroyed in a fire in 1952, but before that her ghost had been seen by members of the US Embassy. The property had been used as their base between World War I and World War II. One man had shot at the White Lady when she appeared before him one Christmas Eve. The Red Lady was a member of the Deering family. She died in the 1100s and was buried in St Nicholas's churchyard in a coffin made of lead. A red rose was placed on top of it. It is said that the Red Lady gave birth to a stillborn baby. She now wanders the graveyard searching for her baby's grave. Greystones is a large house in Pluckley and is haunted by a monk. The monk is said to have lived in Tudor times and is said to have fallen in love with the lady at Rose Court. When the lady at Rose Court died, the monk fell into a depressive state. He would wander around the surrounding trees until eventually he died of a broken heart. His ghost continues to wander around the trees and was last seen in 1989 by an American journalist. Station Road is haunted by a man and a woman and also their dog. You will hear the man and woman chatting happily. You feel them getting closer and closer to you before they pass by you, and you hear their chattering getting fainter and fainter. The Blacksmith Arms pub is haunted by 3 ghosts. There is a Tudor maid, a coachman who sits gazing at the fireplace, and a cavalier who walks around the rooms upstairs. The Deering Arms pub used to be a hunting lodge. It is now haunted by a woman in a bonnet. Her figure is so clear that she has been mistaken as a real person. The Blackhorse pub used to be a farmhouse that belonged to the local bailiff. The ghosts in the pub are never seen, but they like to steal people's belongings, returning them a few days later. If you go to the woods after dark, you may hear screams of ghostly men and women. It is said these screams are of those who died in the woods after getting lost. So even though Pluckley was in the Guinness Book of World Records, it no longer is, because the category of the most haunted village in Britain does not exist in the Guinness Book of World Records anymore. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.